I've had some customers in the past. They call me on the phone. They say they have their insurance estimate, and they tell me how much it is and everything. But I ask them. They send me a picture maybe of their car, and I ask them what they put on the estimate, and they're really a little confused as to what some of the stuff means. So I thought I'd do this video and just point out a couple things, so it'll be a little bit easier to read these and know what you're looking at. So basically there's three major companies who make software for these estimates on these cars. There are others that just not as popular. Most of the insurance companies use the three main ones. This one we're looking at here is going to be one of them. They're all very similar. The only difference, their labor times might be just a little bit different, but if you were to write the exact same estimate on each of the programs, it would be very close. So going somewhere to get three different estimates is going to be, they could vary a lot, but they're not really going to vary because of the program. It's because of what the person is putting on the estimate. So looking at this estimate, the top section is going to be just all the information about the car and the customer and what have you. Everything is pulled from the VIN number about the car, has the features on it and that type of thing. And it's what the software looks for the parts and everything like that. So we'll scroll down and get to the meat and potatoes here. Looking at the front bumper, we're going to repair the bumper if there's something wrong with it. There's just going to be a straight repair time here. And over here, the SM stands for sheet metal. That's going to be anything to do with the bodywork. The RF is Refinish, so that's anything to do with the painting of it. Now, additional labor, this is called the front bumper cover overhaul. That has nothing to do with repairing what's damaged. It's just that you have to take the bumper off and take all the trim off it, whatever's in there, so that you can paint it. On the refinish end right here, basically the two-stage setup is the base coat and then the clear coat. They're just separating on here, but that's really not that important. When you're replacing parts, it'll list the parts right here. It'll list the part number if it has it in the system, and it'll have a price. So generally anything that's made by the manufacturer is going to be listed like that. And if you come down here and you got another part here, it says replace economy. Economy means it's not made by the manufacturer, it's some other company, aftermarket or what have you. Still a brand new part, but it just may not be made to the specs that the OEM part is. Years ago, the aftermarket parts just were not made very well at all. They were just junk. In fact, they've had lawsuits over that. But over the years, they've really come a long ways, and they're generally a good, viable option. You can argue with the insurance company if they're paying for it to not put it on there, but generally they're gonna. If the car's more than a couple years old, they're probably going to use that on there. They may have a policy that they don't use aftermarket parts. In that case, they would look for used parts. So if it's a used part, you're going to see down here it'll say replace recycled. So basically it's used parts from a salvage yard that's been on somebody else's car. Could be scratched up, could be painted 3 or 4 times. Any number of things. When you get the part in and it's got damage on it, the shop is responsible to fix that and warranty it. That's why I don't like used parts very often. If there is more work to be done on them once you get them, generally the insurance company wants you to get a price reduction from the salvage yard, but they never really take enough off to do what's right for the part. Now up here we have R&I assembly. As you can see, there's no price here at all, so that's not a new part. Some people look at that and say, oh, they're going to replace my headlight. No, R&I just stands for remove it and install it. So if you're painting a fender, you got to take the headlight out because it's right next to the part where you're going to paint. You just take it out of there so you can paint the fender and you put it back. Okay, we've got another R&I assembly. That's just for the emblem on the fender. Sublet repair. Anything sublet repair is going to be something the shop has to send out to have somebody else do. In this case, it's just for the wheels. They're scratched up. There's a service that redoes the wheels, and that's price should be all included what it takes to get that done. It could also be a mechanical repair. Wheel alignments are sublets. Generally, unless the shop has their own alignment machine, but generally they don't. Going down here, we have repair, refinish, R&Is, partial repair. Sometimes in the estimating system, there's you're just fixing one little corner of something, so you put a partial repair on there. Okay, if you look over here, everything has a set amount of labor that it thinks the average guy needs to do it. If the shop changes that in any way, it's going to have a little asterisk right here. You see a little asterisk. That means that there's a deviation from what the computer says it takes and what the shop thinks it's going to take. Okay, blend refinish. This is when you're blending the color into the next panel so you make the paint match. Generally that's a reduced reduced labor amount so that you can just blend the color out and then re-clear the whole panel. However, this has always been a big talking point in the industry, but it takes just about as much work to get it ready to do that as it does to paint the whole thing. So it's kind of a lower amount, but if you have a scratch on one side of the bumper and it's not the side that you're blending, that scratch is not going to get fixed. It's just going to get cleared over and you're still going to see it because we actually don't get paid to do all the repairs on there. Okay, replace economy, we talked about that. Okay, and the way the amount of money is figured out here, you've got your parts money, anything aftermarket parts or things like that are going to be in this other parts. The paint materials is a separate item on there for all the materials you're going to use. That's going to included in that is going to be sandpapers and caulkings and tape and paper and car covers and things like that. That's figured at a set amount. In this case, it's $32 an hour. Depending on what part of the country you're in, it could vary a lot. Your labor rates are going to change too. But around here, $32 an hour is what you use to figure out your paint materials. Your hours, it figures up the hours on the refinish hours. So it's multiplied together and you get your amount over here. Of course, you have your tax on the parts only. And generally, that's pretty much about it. There's one other thing I wanted to say about a lot of companies want you to go get 3 estimates. The estimates should not vary a lot, but they could. And if there's a repair item, like there's a dent needs to be fixed, and now that's going to be, there's nothing in the computer that says how long it's going to take that. That's a judgment call on the person who's doing the work. So that amount there is going to change a lot, and if everything else is the same, it should be pretty close. But you really don't need to get 3 estimates. They tell you to, but around here anyway, you can take it to whatever shop you want, and they have to use that shop. That's another story for another day. Some of these insurance companies now are having the apps where you can take a picture of your damage and you can send it to them. Saves them a lot of time on the front end. But that's really a not accurate estimate because they just have someone sitting behind a desk who are looking at these and doing it. There's so many things that go into it that they can't see from those pictures unless it's a very small item. There's always damage behind it or what have you. So it just gets the ball rolling, gets you to a shop, it gets an estimate in their hand. Possibly they'll send you the check from off of that, but there's always going to be a supplement written once you get it to the shop. So just keep that in mind when you get your estimates, that it's just probably not going to be the right amount. And that's all I got for today.